Imagine standing at the edge of a mountain trail just before sunrise. The air is cold. The sky is painted with deep shades of blue and silver. Birds have not yet begun their morning songs. Everything feels frozen in time. Now imagine looking across the valley and seeing something impossible. A palace. Not just any palace. A palace so beautiful that it seems like it was painted into the landscape by a dream. Its towers glow softly in the morning mist. Its walls shimmer like gold even though the sun has not yet appeared. Hundreds of windows reflect the colors of dawn, creating an illusion that the entire structure is floating above the earth. At first glance, it doesn't look real. It looks like something from a fantasy novel. Something created by imagination. Something that should not exist. Yet there it stands. For centuries, travelers have crossed mountains, deserts, and forests just to see this mysterious palace with their own eyes. Many of them arrived believing the stories were exaggerated. Every single one left speechless. The palace was known as the Palace of the Sky. Nobody knew exactly who built it. Nobody knew how such a masterpiece had appeared in a place so remote. Ancient records mentioned kings and emperors, but the dates never matched. Some legends claim the palace was built by a ruler who wanted to create heaven on earth. Others whispered something stranger. They said the palace appeared almost overnight. As impossible as that sounded, the structure itself seemed impossible too. Every wall was covered with intricate carvings, every hallway contained artwork more detailed than anything found in nearby kingdoms. Massive gardens surrounded the palace, filled with rare flowers from distant lands. Fountains flowed endlessly despite having no visible source of water. The deeper people explored, the more questions appeared. One traveler wrote, "The palace is so beautiful that the mind refuses to believe the eyes." Those words would later become famous throughout the world. Years passed. The palace became a symbol of wonder. Artists painted it. Poets wrote about it. Kings attempted to copy it. None succeeded. Because there was something unique about the place. Something impossible to recreate. Visitors often reported the same strange feeling. The moment they entered the palace grounds, time seemed slower. Worries faded. The outside world felt distant. Even people who arrived exhausted somehow left feeling renewed. Many believed the palace held a secret hidden within its walls. A secret responsible for its mysterious beauty. Among those fascinated by the legend was a young historian named Adrian. Unlike treasure hunters and adventurers, Adrian wasn't interested in wealth. He wanted answers. For years he studied old maps, forgotten manuscripts, and ancient journals. Again and again, he encountered references to the palace. But every document seemed incomplete. Pages were missing. Names were erased. Entire sections had been destroyed. It was almost as if someone wanted the true history of the palace to remain hidden. That mystery consumed him. Eventually, Adrian decided there was only one way to discover the truth. He would visit the palace himself. The journey took months. He crossed rivers. He climbed dangerous mountain paths. He survived storms and freezing nights. Yet nothing prepared him for the moment he finally saw it. As morning sunlight spilled across the valley, the palace emerged from the mist. Adrian stopped walking. His heart pounded. For several seconds he forgot to breathe. The stories had not exaggerated. If anything, they had failed to capture the palace's true magnificence. The walls appeared almost alive under the sunlight. The gardens looked like paradise. Every tower reached toward the sky with impossible elegance. It truly looked too beautiful to be real. People from every corner of the world wandered through the grounds, all wearing the same expression. Amazement. Pure amazement. Adrian spent hours simply observing. The architecture contained influences from cultures separated by thousands of miles. Some carvings resembled ancient symbols no longer used anywhere. Others depicted stars arranged in unusual patterns. Nothing made sense. Yet everything fit together perfectly. Late that evening, Adrian met an elderly caretaker. The old man had spent his entire life within the palace grounds. His face carried the wisdom of countless years. When Adrian asked about the palace's origins, the caretaker smiled. "You are not the first to seek answers," he said. "And you will not be the last." Adrian leaned forward eagerly. "What do you know?" The caretaker looked toward the towering structure illuminated by moonlight. Then he spoke words that sent chills through Adrian's body. "The palace is beautiful because it was never meant to impress people." Adrian frowned. "What does that mean?" The old man remained silent for several moments. Then he said something even stranger. "The builders did not create a palace. They created a message." Before Adrian could ask another question, the caretaker stood and walked away into the darkness, leaving Adrian alone with more questions than ever before. A message? What kind of message could require a palace of such unimaginable beauty? And why had its true story been hidden for centuries? Adrian stared at the glowing towers beneath the stars. For the first time, he realized the palace was more than an architectural wonder. It was a mystery. A mystery waiting to be solved. But what he would discover inside those walls would change everything he believed about history. And if you're enjoying this incredible journey so far, make sure to subscribe to the channel and join us for more hidden mysteries, forgotten legends, and unbelievable stories from around the world. Because the greatest secret of the palace is still waiting to be revealed. The next morning, Adrian returned to the palace before sunrise. The caretaker's words echoed in his mind. The builders created a message. The statement seemed impossible. How could an entire palace be a message? Yet Adrian couldn't ignore the feeling that the old man knew something important. As daylight spread across the sky, Adrian began examining the palace more carefully. This time he wasn't looking at its beauty. He was looking for patterns. And soon he found one. The carvings decorating the walls weren't random. Neither were the statues. Nor the gardens. Every element appeared carefully positioned. Almost as if each piece belonged to a much larger design. Hour after hour, Adrian documented everything. Then he noticed something remarkable. Certain symbols repeated throughout the palace. They appeared above doorways. Along fountains. Inside hallways. Even on distant towers. Individually they seemed meaningless. Together they formed a sequence. A code. Excitement surged through him. For days he continued studying the symbols. Gradually the hidden pattern became clearer. The palace wasn't simply decorated. It was communicating. The architecture itself contained information. The realization was astonishing. The builders had embedded a message so large that only someone viewing the entire palace could understand it. But what did the message say? The answer came unexpectedly. While exploring an old library hidden beneath the palace, Adrian discovered a damaged manuscript. Most of the pages were unreadable. But one paragraph remained intact. It described a ruler who lived centuries earlier. Unlike other kings, he was obsessed with a single idea. He believed beauty could unite humanity. At a time when kingdoms constantly fought wars, he dreamed of creating something different. Something that would inspire people regardless of language, culture, or religion. He wanted to build a place that reminded future generations what humanity could achieve when working together. A symbol of cooperation. A monument to creativity. A masterpiece dedicated not to power, but to possibility. Suddenly everything made sense. The palace wasn't built to glorify a king. It wasn't built to display wealth. It wasn't built to intimidate enemies. It was built to inspire hope. That was the message. Every stone. Every garden. Every tower. Every artwork. Together they formed a reminder that human imagination has no limits. The palace existed because someone dared to dream beyond their own lifetime. Adrian spent weeks confirming his discovery. The more evidence he found, the more convinced he became. The palace was humanity's greatest collaborative achievement. Craftsmen from distant lands had contributed their skills. Artists had shared ideas. Engineers had solved impossible problems. Generations had worked together toward a common vision. The palace's beauty wasn't accidental. It was the visible result of unity. That was why visitors felt something special when they arrived. They weren't just seeing architecture. They were witnessing the combined dreams of countless people across centuries. News of Adrian's discovery spread quickly. Historians traveled from around the world. Researchers verified the evidence. Eventually the hidden meaning became widely accepted. The palace became even more famous than before. But something interesting happened. People stopped talking only about its appearance. Instead, they talked about its purpose. Visitors came not merely to admire beauty. They came to remember what human beings can accomplish together. Years later, Adrian returned once more. He stood in the gardens watching sunlight dance across the palace walls. Nearby, children laughed. Families explored the grounds. Travelers stared in wonder. The palace remained as breathtaking as ever. Yet Adrian now understood its true value. Beauty had attracted the world. But the message had changed it. As the sun began to set, golden light covered the palace. For a brief moment, it looked almost unreal. Exactly as it had on the day Adrian first arrived. But now he knew the truth. The palace wasn't beautiful because it was magical. It was beautiful because it represented the very best qualities of humanity. Creativity. Cooperation. Vision. Hope. Those qualities had transformed stone into something timeless. Something unforgettable. Something that appeared too beautiful to be real. Yet it was real. And that made it even more extraordinary. Because the greatest wonders are not created by magic. They are created by people who refuse to stop dreaming. And perhaps that's the real lesson hidden inside the palace. No matter where you come from. No matter how impossible a dream may seem. Great things begin with imagination. One idea. One vision. One decision to believe that something extraordinary can exist. Thank you for joining this journey through one of history's most fascinating mysteries. If you enjoyed this story and want more captivating tales, hidden histories, ancient wonders, and unforgettable adventures, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Your support helps bring more incredible stories to life. And remember, sometimes the most unbelievable places in the world are real. They're simply waiting for someone curious enough to discover their story.